Thank you for rejoining us on our two-part interview with Juliana Kruger and Nicole Moore of Diverse Computing. Today, we will conclude that interview.
Someone we love. I've been a 911 dispatcher for 15 years, but there's one call I'll never forget. Early in my career, I was a young mother working shift work and often relied on my mom to help watch my two small children. One day, I answered a call from a 7-year-old girl. Her voice was shaking, but she bravely told me she thought her grandma was having a heart attack. She was home alone with her grandma and her 5-year-old brother, and she had the presence of mind to call 911. She stayed calm, she followed my instructions, and because of her quick thinking, her grandmother survived. As I talked her through that terrifying moment, it hit me hard. My own kids were 5 and 7 at the time. My mom was watching them while I worked that very shift. That could have easily been my daughter on the phone. That could have been my mom needing help. That moment changed me. Since then, I've made it a priority to teach my kids the importance of 911, how to call, what to say, how to stay calm under pressure. They're now 17 and 19, and I know, without a doubt, they'd know what to do in an emergency. But more than that call shaped how I handle every call that comes in. I always think, what if this was my family on the other end of the line? I take that mindset to heart. Every shift, every call. Because every voice we hear matters, and every caller deserves to be treated like someone we love. That one brave 7-year-old didn't just save a life. She gave me a lifelong reminder of why our job matters. Kelly Chauman, Bartlett Police Department, Tennessee.
I have a former colleague, and she's in a supporting business now. And she said it once, and I have never forgotten it. She's like, taking 911 calls or even dispatching on the radio is like watching a horror movie with your eyes closed.
That's I feel that.
It is true because the things are happening, and your mind's eye takes over and paints the picture. How can it not? Right? When you're hearing that horrible thing on the radio, you have a picture in your head of what is happening. And especially for our peers that are 911 only, especially that they're just one call after the other, and you
Mhm.
have no idea whether that person lived or not, because the last thing you heard was they were carted off to the hospital, and
That
that's
was
it. That's it. I have those calls, and you know baby calls where they whisk the baby off to the hospital, and you're like, what happened? What happened? You need to know what happened, but you don't get it because now you've got the next call and the next call and the next call. And of course, the field responders are busy. They're doing their own thing. I wish somebody would make up something that just gives me a direct line so I can find out what happened, that closure. And that's
that's a
that's part of
great
the problem.
but that's a great thought. I don't know how to execute that, but the thought of finding the resolution or, figuring the outcome, I can see a lot of value in that.
Something, because when the EMTs or the firefighters or even the police officers, sometimes the ones that for whatever reason they just remember it or think about it, they will double back from time to time and say, "Oh, by the way, this thing happened. This is the outcome there." That gives the operator an opportunity to mourn as much as they can, right? Someone that they don't know, but it gives you an opportunity to mourn the outcome or celebrate it.
Or have
Or
resolution of some kind.
something. So you
Yeah.
can close the book or close the door on that story, and truly move on, because I have had calls through my career where I'm like, I wonder I wonder if they're okay. I wonder, did they? I know that they went to the hospital and they had serious injuries, and I remember that they were in surgery. And the last thing I remember is that they maybe made it out of surgery, but then what happened after that? And there's a whole investigation that happens as to what happened to them. So there's a whole other group of people on the other side of the radio that knows what happened to them and has that resolution. I just know that all my peers are probably all clapping right now when they hear this, going, "Yep, yep, yep, we want to know, we want to know." I'm still jealous of the ones that get to deliver the babies. I got close like 3 times, and every
Oh,
time I know, and every time the fire department showed up and stole my thunder, I wanted,
just
I,
one baby.
I am delighted about this
Oh,
initiative.
I think it's great that you two have kind of spearheaded and taken charge of putting a book together like this because, as you said, I think most of the people that work in the industry are not very good at giving praise. I know that for me and Erica, I think for both of us, Erica, it's kind of difficult. One of the hard things about doing a podcast is kind of putting ourselves out there and being like, "Hey, look at us, we're so cool."
hmm
Da, 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 da. Like
yeah.
it's not something that comes naturally, I think, to most people who pick a career long term in public safety. I think it's fantastic that you guys have compiled all of these stories really on your own initiative, which I think is even nicer, a nicer display of how important the topic is to you guys. So
Absolutely.
I just want to say that's really awesome and thank you for doing
Thank
that.
you. Thank you. And one of the things I think I have to attribute to Juliana is she felt it was important to include at the end of the book some statistics about dispatchers and how many calls on average, what they go through. And that was really your brainchild, Juliana, as far as what to put at the tail end of that.
Yeah, I've
I
read the story.
mean,
I'll be honest. I've read the stories a few times, and I haven't even gotten to the end yet. What's at the end?
yeah, I mean, we just have different statistics about, the amount of 911 calls every year. Here I'm trying to flip to it now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
where I'm going.
you're speaking my language with statistics, so I'm a numbers guy.
That's his love
Behind the
language.
numbers.
Talking about the shifts and the long hours. And
Mhm.
I mean, I know Erica said it, holidays, overtime, missing out on things, and,
Yep.
you know, um, turnover rates, things like that. We just have all these numbers back here, and also talking about mental health at the end of it as well. And you know, um, I think that's important because maybe somebody orders this book that doesn't know anything
Mhm.
about telecommunicators, and it kind of wraps it up at the end, like, oh yes, you've read all these stories, but you have to, I mean, these are humans, these are people who've experienced these things, and you know um, learning more about the profession as well. So that's kind of the little wrap up we have there with behind the numbers as well.
You got all the things in here. 8 to 12 hour shifts. Yep, yep, yep. 40% working overtime. Most of them. Yeah. 80% female. Yes.
I'm like sitting here, "Ooh, I hope we didn't mess anything up in there. Hope you."
Look at Gary. Morgan. It's true though, but I have found over, I would say probably, what would you say, Gary? Like in the last 10 years or so, that number is creeping. The number of males entering the profession, it's getting up there. There was a one, I mean, they're still outnumbered. But on the other side of the headset, it's still predominantly male. You're getting more and more female officers, and that's a male to reach 50% inside the comm center, but it is predominantly female.
Oh yes, absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
no question about that.
And that's all I'll say about that. But we're drawn to it because we typically are better at the whole multitasking thing or switch tasking, which is the other catchphrase. People multitasking is almost like a bad word anymore. But the switch tasking is really kind of what happens. And we're getting more and more guys into the mix. And I'm really excited about that because they bring their own gifts and talents with that. They tend to be less dramatic. Come on, girls, don't be mad with me, but it's true. Less dramatic. The guys are like, I don't know and I don't care. Just what next call, and they go on, and they care about what's happening, of course, because there are some calls in here from some gentlemen that are truly amazing, every bit as amazing as their female counterparts. But I just thought that that was really interesting because most people probably don't know that the profession is on this side of the headset is 80% roughly female dominated. You really did some homework to find out this stuff. These 8 and 12-hour shifts, which I'm trying to get us to go to at least tens, but
Well,
Keep
have
dreaming.
yet to
Juliana.
be have yet to be successful.
Yeah.
I love that. The real lives of dispatchers. What? I haven't gotten this far yet. I feel like this is a whole other little section that I need to. I was so wrapped up in the stories, I just didn't go to the back. I'm sorry, Juliana.
Just do a little exploring at the end. You're good. It's not that long. You'll make it there. You'll be good. I will share my favorite. So we ended with this. It's the last quote because we separated some of the categorical sections with
Yes,
quotes to sort of give it
yes.
a breaking point there.
So
And
good.
my favorite quote in the whole book is, "Get up and come to work tomorrow. Your
Mm.
community needs you and you are capable. You are the lifeline, and sometimes you will most definitely be the last person they talk to. Make it count."
Oh,
Just,
Yep.
oh, that is so good. I missed that not going to the back. I mean, some of the
yeah,
I actually I didn't realize that I'd almost memorized it, but from one of the calls, he was not alone. That's another one of the quotes. I'll find it here
mhm,
because it's just so. And of course, now it doesn't just open to the page because that would
help you
be
out.
too much. That would be too
I think it was
much.
35. 35.
35. Yeah, he wasn't alone. There is the page before. There's a quote you hear all the time. Words have power, but you don't realize it until it's your career. Our words are powerful, and they are our presence. That
Yeah,
is huge. That is huge, huge, huge. Because in this profession, unlike our field counterparts, they have their physical presence to impact the call. If they're a police
yeah,
officer, that comes with a certain level of authority. It is what it is. And even they will say it. All you have is your voice, whether you're on a radio or you're on the phone, or if in some of our, you know, one, two, three, four seat piece apps, which those people still blow my mind because they're doing it all. They're taking the call, they're dispatching the call, they're dispatching EMS while they're doing the life-saving instructions beforehand. Mind blown. They hear me say it all the time. Hats off to anybody that does it all. But unlike the ones that go out into the field, we literally only have one tool. And
yeah,
we have to make that tool count. So take nothing for granted. Don't take for granted that your voice is your very presence, unlike our field counterparts. It can make the difference. And this
mhm,
is just driving it home for me again. It almost Anybody that
yeah.
reads this, I would challenge you to not be sucked in and not have a renewed respect for even your own profession because it's woken me up again. And I'm an old goat. I've been in this a minute. I still love it. I'm still in love with it. But sometimes you forget to be you forget just how much impact you have, and because we don't get to hear back from the people that we help very often. So to have it put into words just is huge.
And to hear you say all of that about the voice aspect, that's probably why the writing's so great,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
they're using their voice just in a different way. So that's
And we
that's
tell
interesting.
stories all the time. As dispatchers, all we're taking a bunch of words and we have to filter it and then we have to give it out in a way that makes sense. Gary, what do you call that? You have a wonderful way. You condense? Is that what you usually say? We have to take all of the chaos that comes at us and then we have to condense it into something that
Fits in
can
a
be
box.
understood.
Yeah.
Hmm. Something that can be understood and can be acted upon. And that's what these people do every day, all day, even on Tuesday. That's that's literally what they do. So they had to take all of that happened in that call and put it in some condense it down into something that you could use that might find suitable for this initiative.
Well said.
Yeah.
Holding hands through fear. All the calls we received from Hurricane Helen changed me in some way or another. We were working long hours for days straight behind the scenes. Many people who called were scared, not knowing what was going to happen to them next. Some were just scared and wanted a calm voice to talk to. Some were stuck in cars or houses with trees on them. Never did I imagine the pure devastation we all received from that storm. Before the storm even hit landfall, we were getting calls pouring in. Then, as soon as it hit landfall, it was all we could do to keep up with the call volume. Call after call, I realized something I hadn't fully understood until that moment. I wasn't just answering calls, I was holding hands through fear, lending my voice to people who were trying not to break. The storm taught me that courage doesn't always mean running into the storm. Sometimes it's just staying rooted and steady while others are in the eye of it. It means being the calm when the world is falling apart around you. After Hurricane Helen, I wasn't the same person for a while. I now know I have a purpose to be the lifeline when people need me most. The power to make someone feel a little safer and not alone is a great feeling. Mindy Kirkland, Burke County 911, Georgia.
So in reference to the book, what I suppose are y'all's plans with it going forward? Do you want to put one out like every TC week, like once a year, or is it sort of like just a one time thing? Like where do you guys see this going in the future?
S- So for us, the book was meant to commemorate the 5th anniversary of the campaign. I would love to do a book every year, but to your point, and I'm so grateful that the care that was put into the book was seen and received. That's the whole point of it. To do that every single year would be a huge effort. However, we definitely the whole point of collecting the stories is to share them. They need to be shared. So we're planning to do a digital collection that will be available online for this year, and potentially, I think at least that for future years where we're collecting stories so that they can be shared. And for now, the book is the book until we take on that task, because we're only going to do it if we can do it as good or better as the one that we came out with last year, or this, in the 2025-2026 timeframe. Um, Juliana, do you have anything that you would like to add to that as far as the story collection or the website that would be important?
Yeah. So, um, the idea for the virtual storybook, it will be on our website. Um, we're in the process of designing it right now because we are already getting stories in. So, it's a way, for these still to be shared with everybody, but instead of a physical book, it will probably be PDF downloadable version. But
That would be awesome.
still, we want all these stories, and we're gonna share them. We're gonna share them on our social media channels, but also still in a book form, just virtual. Maybe for
Yeah.
the 10-year anniversary, we do another book. I don't know,
I
but
love it.
Well,
Yeah, I can see that.
it certainly looks like a lot of care and effort did go into the book. Just having to compile the stories, because I'm sure it was, as y'all said, it was just a fire hose of of all these stories, and you have to kind of categorize them, and then also put them into some sort of an order or sequence that kind of, it not necessarily tells a story, but takes you through
Kind of.
different themes, which
Yeah.
I thought was really cool. And then the little quotes you guys put in throughout was
Ugh,
a nice way to tie the ideas of the area of the not chapters of the stories together.
my
Perfect. I'm
husband,
glad
this is
I'm
how
glad that came up.
I got so into it. My husband walked in one day. He was like, "Babe," because I'm going, uh,
It'll get you. It'll get you for sure, and
he's
I
like,
cherry-picked some appropriate ones, but I had my son read them as his nighttime reading activity, and he is familiar with a few of them, not all. I'm sure you can think of the ones that I wouldn't choose, but the ones that were on the uplifting side, he certainly enjoyed reading, so it's great. It's great.
I have one more that I can't hardly stand it. Holding Hands Through Fear. I won't go into any further into it. That's a really good story, but this quote just uh I think this is the one I was reading when my husband goes, "What are you are you okay?" Because I'm into it.
Yep.
Right. I'm in a whole I'm sucked in. I'm telling you guys. It says I wasn't just answering calls. I was holding
Right.
hands through fear, lending my voice to people who were trying not to break.
It
What?
just
But the
and
theme,
that's
I love it. The theme, I don't know. Did you guys even realize there's a theme of the voice that comes through here? Did you
mhm,
even realize it? That okay, of course you did. You had it strewn all over your kitchen, which I still
I
think is
did.
amazing because I always imagine someone compiling a book and it's sent off to some publisher person that doesn't know and they're just kind of putting them in order. But I love the idea that it was
Yep.
so real and so important that you guys put your heads together and to the point where it was all over your kitchen trying to order it instead of sending that off to
Oh,
someone
no.
else to task.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a picture of it, just pages all over and moving them around and stuff. So yeah, I appreciate that, and I appreciate it, and I'm excited to see what we get this year for story submissions. Which I think too, I want to make sure it's clear that it's not required to be a professional writer. And we keep talking about the quality of the stories, but I think it's important to note that even if you had a paragraph or two, it doesn't, please use your words. And if you have a story to tell that's important to you, please send it. I don't want folks thinking that they have to be professional writers in order to submit it. There's all types of stories featured in here, and we
Mhm.
would love to hear any type of story that you have to send.
So you guys are doing the story submission again. When does that begin? Because we want to make sure that this is out. The goal is to have it out the week before, a minimum of a week before TC week.
Okay.
And we I've got a couple of things rolling around in my head about the week of or to tail end onto the episode here. I think we may even read at least one or two and maybe figure something else out because it's huge. TC week is a big deal inside of this profession. So what does that look like for the week of? I mean, is that when you guys are opening the submission? What does that look like?
Juliana?
Yeah, so right now anybody can go to our website. Up top it says CAH, shortened for Calling All Heroes, and
Hmm.
you can be directed. You can go ahead and share your story now. We do, though, do our special giveaway during TC week. So anybody that submits a story to us during that week is entered for the grand prize giveaway that we do. So they can either find it on our website to enter, or you can go to our social media. We have, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and we'll have all the links to submit your story on those as well.
Ah,
And there are some agencies that have expressed to us that they can't accept gifts or participate in the giveaway portion. So we did make it so that you can submit your story only if you would like to, but please enter the giveaway. We love a good giveaway. Who doesn't?
yeah.
If you were able to do so. And we opened the story collection up beyond TC week because we wanted to give folks time to put something together and send, and not just make them feel compressed into a single week. So we opened it up in January, and then we'll close it at the end of TC week.
Awesome. Let's go.
Well,
There's still time.
Still time.
Oh my God. I'm on the TC Week committee at my work.
uh-oh.
So
Uh-oh.
I'm so
Here we
going to
go.
add that to the flyer. Oh, that's going on the flyer.
Mm.
And on the flyers are
Love
going
it.
out through email, and then we're going to post them all over the place. Absolutely.
And
So doing that.
we will definitely have a link to the website on this episode as well. So if you want to submit your story, just click the link and start typing. You only need a paragraph or two, and send it on in.
That is awesome. So excited. Something else to add to TC Week. The bigger, the better. Yes.
Love it.
Well, we thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story about how you wrote the book, or rather compiled the stories of the book. It was clearly done as a labor of love, something that you wanted to kind of give back to this group, and it was really, I don't know, it was really interesting seeing, to me, always how the profession is so similar, whether it's a story in Tennessee or in Washington State. We all have the same kind of, it's a very similar job, just done in slightly different ways, and it's really cool to kind of highlight that. And one of the reasons that I like doing Lifeline is because we can a lot of times grab just regular people who do this job to come on and share their stories. And this book is basically the paper version of that. So that, I think, to me, is really
Yes.
cool.
Yes. And
Eh,
I can't thank you enough as someone in the profession for the initiative, whether it be a 5-year book, 10-year book, or digital version. We just don't get very many opportunities to share the real stories.
yeah.
There's just not that many out there. And we can't compete with Hollywood because we don't blow up anything, and it's not over in an hour, and these cool backstories, and we don't go save the person. I love Hollywood, don't get me twisted. Some of those shows are my guilty pleasure because it's Hollywood. You gotta laugh
Yeah,
in a
they
good
do
way,
that with
in a good way.
the technology as well. It's like Minority Report in every dispatch center or whatever you're they're touching stuff and moving it, and I'm like, I haven't seen that out at any time
Oh my God, I never
recently.
thought about that. That makes
Yeah.
perfect sense. You don't have stuff just floating in the middle of the air and
Nope, and
oh man.
just doot doot, and there they are, and you've got their full backstory and where they're at in
Oh,
that moment and all of that,
oh
So
man.
I hear you, and I appreciate your kind words again, and just so grateful for y'all and what you are putting out with your podcast, and I'm so grateful that you would even have us on here to speak about this, but I am grateful for your focus on shared experiences, and just glad that someone like you exists.
Thank you. We appreciate that. We're gonna blow up the submit your stories. Oh my God. It's gonna have its own poster. I said I was gonna put it on the flyer, but I think it's gonna have its own flyer now. I've just got Gary's used to it.
But yes,
You're great.
if you want a copy of the book, you can always go to Amazon. Is that pretty much the primary place they should go for it, or is it also on the
That
website?
there is a link on the website, but it takes you to Amazon. So I would just say if you're able to share the Amazon link, that may be the most direct way, but they can find it through our website as well.
All right. Well, we'll do what we can to get this on the New York Times bestseller list. No promises, but we'll be pushing for you.
Love it. Appreciate y'all so much. Thank you.
Well, thank you both so much for coming on. Again, that has been Juliana Kruger and Nicole Moore, who have been running the Calling All Heroes campaign and celebrating their 5th anniversary. They have put out a book, which is a collection of stories. So we thank you both so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you all for joining us this week as well. We appreciate you listening. And of course, if you have any stories that you'd like to share, you can always leave us a email at lifeline911podcast@gmail.com or leave a comment down below. And from all of us at Lifeline 911, I'm Gary.
America.
And we will see you next week.
Second generation. It was way before I started dispatch. I was 13 or 14 years old, and my mother worked emergency medical services, EMS, and was also in the volunteer fire department in our area. I was on the bus headed to school and was passing a wreck. As I looked out the window, I saw my mother crawling in the front window of this car with her hands on this poor man's neck, holding pressure so he wouldn't bleed out. She had just got off of a 24-hour shift and was headed home. She heard the call go out on the radio and went to the scene. She made it in about 10 minutes before the ambulance arrived. At the time, there were only 2 or 3 medical first responders in the volunteer fire department, and the others were at work. That's when I knew I wanted to be involved in first response one day. Originally, it was Emergency Medical Services, EMS, but due to life, that became an option that wasn't possible. A friend worked at dispatch, and I stopped in one night to drop off dinner and fell in love. It took me a few years because my typing was awful at the time, but I finally made it. My first center wasn't a great fit, but where I am now is home, and I love my job and my coworker family. Stacy Walker, Dixon Emergency Communications, Tennessee. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions about today's topic or topics you'd like to cover in the future, please reach out to us at lifeline911podcast@gmail.com. This has been a production of Lifeline 911, copyright 2026. Until next time, this is Lifeline 911 signing off.